good. You know, I'm lit. I like to have fun. She's very scared sometimes, though. So don't try her. Okay, I'm a real bitch. Let me remind you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Frenchafullcircle. I am your host, mjfrencha. I am joined today by another set of amazing panelists for my show. We will be having one more guest joining us very soon. I'm so happy to have you all. Before we begin discussing and talking about the topic of tonight, we call it breathing to center. So we like to do that before we open each show. So if everyone could just sit in a comfortable space with either your legs crossed or your legs slightly on the ground, just to get the energy flowing. Palms in your lap. You want to close your eyes. And we're going to do 5 inhales and exhales. And on each inhale and exhale, we'll be doing a full body scan of your entire body. So yeah, inhale. And as you inhale, do a full body scan and sending oxygen and energy to wherever you may be feeling tension right now in your body. And just send energy and oxygen to that part of your body. So you're going to inhale for 5, holding for 5, and you're going to exhale on 5. So holding it, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. As you inhale, you're breathing from the diaphragm of your belly. So breathing fully in. It's almost like your stomach is tightening up as you breathe. Remember to hold it for 5, 2, 3. Inhale again. And just on this inhale, set a positive affirmation that you want to set for the show tonight or for the rest of the week, for the rest of the year, because we have at least 5 weeks left in this year 2020. So set any positive goal affirmation that you have, making this count. And then we're going to release. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to do one more inhale. Remember to do a full body scan. You're sending air to any part of your body that is holding tension or holding stress or holding some form of energy that you just want to release. So you're holding it. And then on this last exhale, we're going to do what we call a lion's breath. And you're just going to exhale through your mouth like a... And now we can begin to release. And remember, we're doing a big lion's breath. Just exhale through your mouth. That we can begin the show. Like I said, I am your host, mjfrencha, and I'm just gonna have everyone introduce themselves, tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Hello. Hello, my name is Isaac. I'm 22 years old. Right now, I am pursuing my master's in higher education. It's a social justice lens, so that is kind of what I've been focusing on right now. Yeah, that's what I've been doing with my time. That's what's stressing me out currently. Got papers due. But yeah, I go to Morgan State at HBCU.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Telan Nikoli Lucas. I'm 21. I'm a dancer and a model, freelance for right now. I also will be having my bachelor's in business. I'll be finishing.
Yes.
That's about it.
Hi, my name is Aries Tyler. I'm 21 years old, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, just doing music, and I work on musical just projects with a lot of artists here in Atlanta. Other from that, I do modeling, and yeah, that's pretty much me. I was almost so close to making a Grammy last year because I wrote a song with a friend, but not knowing how the business goes, I got it stolen from me. So it's something I learned from and something that I can choose to walk through my life and let that be something in the near future that I might be able to get, you know? But yeah, that's
So proud of each and every one of you. Like just being able to follow you guys and just see all the amazing things you guys are doing, it makes me so immensely proud and so thankful for life. Because for me, when I see people that I know doing what they love and doing what they want to do, that is the greatest gift of all. I also, before every show, we like to open the show up with an affirmation. So tonight's affirmation is, truth is more than a mental exercise. This is said by Thurgood Marshall. The human mind is always searching for the truth. The mind guides us through books. It interprets our experiences. It limits us based on our exposure. The mind searches to find truth, not realizing that truth was never lost. Unfortunately, truth cannot reveal itself in a mind that is busy with personal chatter. That chatter refers to what you think we need or want and what you say. Unlike truth, your mental chatter may have nothing to do with what is real. The only way to find truth is to go deep within the self and to live from that consciousness and understanding. The truth is the reality of who you are from the inside out, and that is something we rarely think about. Truth is the joy of living, of being, of having a connection to everyone and everything. Without thought or malice or condemnation or of any part of you, truth is the spirit of life. And then, so with the affirmation, I just want to get everyone's opinions on what they thought of the affirmation for tonight.
I thought of the affirmation being so important to really, truly what life is meaning right now. We have so much clutter that's going on in the world. And I think that right now it's important for us to stay focused on the bigger picture. And it's not just always about us, but it's about the world. And we're all here in the world. So it all leads back to us.
I definitely think it's very important to know what is the truth, like what in life, where we're going, what our true self is. And I think this is a perfect time to find that, especially during everything that's going on in the world. We've been stuck at home for several months. It was a great time for us to really sit down with ourselves and discover.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. That's something that I did with a lot of my time this lockdown since March. Really been reflecting on, now that having the time to sit down and actually focus and not be so on the go, like sitting down and looking at everything going around, analyzing stuff, looking up information, getting educated on different things. Definitely think that's just a great affirmation in life in general. Look, analyzing like where you are at in life, and also like making sure that you try your best to live with your truth, and making sure like what you think is true to you and what do you think you got from something that you're still trying to figure out what the truth is of that.
I agree with everyone, and I also feel that it's also just the affirmation to live truly in who you know you are, not in what people think you are. Because I feel like a lot of times we get so focused in wondering what people think about. We spend so much time focused on what people think about us and try to portray to them who we want them to think we are, and we're not truly living as who we are. You know, we're trying to please the masses, but it's not. What is that really doing to please us and ourselves and who we are, what we want to do? Yeah, that's how I feel. Not really necessarily trying to fit in any boxes. And I feel like, especially with today's times, society and social media, they can try to pidget you or force you into being a certain way when you may not necessarily feel that way. So just being able to stand on your own 2 feet and trusting who you are and what you are, and yeah. So the topic of tonight, I call it Black Gay Joy, because I feel that being Black and being gay is a unique experience in itself. And even though we all share similar experiences, we all have our own unique experiences that comes with this. And there's just such a beauty to me in just being Black and being gay, because everyone that I met, we're also different, but there's still something magical and colorful about everyone who shares this experience or who has went through this experience. So my first question of the night would be, how would you personally define the experience of being Black, gay, or queer? And we're going to go in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Aries.
My experience was very different because I grew up coming from Chicago to Atlanta, and I came from a predominantly Black area to a predominantly white area. And me being gay already from my childhood, I was always gay before I even could tell that I could walk, I felt like I was destined to be gay, but I just didn't understand on what it meant for me to do within my life of what my actions were. But I would say that it was a great experience, and it was hard, but it was great for me to get to learn on how it is to be treated as a Black person, and as a gay person is someone that only wants love and only just truly is doing that for everyone's sake. And they don't understand that that's how they are. And it's just that, I don't know, people just have a really strong, sensitive way on how to talk about gay people. And it's just we're all the same. You don't have to make this such a drastic change to what the situation is, but I know that I got through it once I started really fighting off of bullies. I had a lot of bullies growing up, so I knew that I was like, okay, let me get into my own and start just being confident. And I think that's just all it is how confident you are and what you can express is who you are, and that's just what it is. Don't question it, and don't try to belittle it, because it's worth it.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute. I was like, child. I was trying to unmute it. It wasn't unmuted. But I would say, as I've gotten older and now, I really feel like overall, the experience is just very lit. I love it so much. I love being in community with other Black queer people, and just
right.
kind of like what you said earlier, it is just, it's similarities, but it's also differences. And especially growing up, and that I didn't really grow up and had that community. And as I got older, started becoming friends with other people and having that community. I'm like, this is lit. And I feel like growing up too, I grew up in a Christian household, and so that kind of set the tone. And for a while, a lot of the things that for me, my like escape and all of that was like outside of the house, like in high school. Even though in high school I was pretty quiet, but it was like, going back to finding that confidence. And like once I found that confidence, it's just something that, this is definitely like something that people tend to still be ignorant on the topic of sexuality, and therefore there have been hardships along the way.
God bless you.
Once I found the confidence and really started loving myself, I'm like, well, this is who I am. This is lit. I love being in community with people that also share my identities with me. Like, we all had similarities, and even similarities in how people even treated us and how we overcame that, and like just different things, like talk about music and just pop culture in general, just stuff that similarities. And so as I get older and getting more confident, I just feel like this experience has been lit, and I'm loving it right now.
As you should. That's amazing.
For me, I feel like my experience has been great. The more I took the time to discover myself, I feel like more people said I was gay, and I didn't realize that I was gay until I don't know. I feel like the more I realized that, the more I knew more of myself, self-discovery, I feel like people kept trying me, saying that I was gay, and I swore up and down that I was gay.
I'm like, what is gay mean?
I'm not gay. I swore up and down about it because I was just being myself. I don't know. I had a great experience. I haven't had bad experiences about stuff. I just been really getting to know myself, being the person that I am. Growing up in Chicago, I am from a Christian background, but my mom she always had my back about everything, so I never had a bad experience about being gay. Yeah. And then community is everything. Our community is everything.
I love that. I would say for my experience, it's been a eye-opening experience, but also my experience, I wouldn't say it's been a bad experience. I wouldn't change the experience for the world. I can't really think of nothing. I'm really now just getting into the community aspect of it, thanks to Telan. But I would say before, I don't know, I just found it weird making, and maybe some people share the same experience as me, but before I just kind of found it weird making friends who were gay. In a sense, I don't know, it's just, to me, the vibe gotta be right. If the vibe ain't right, then I'm not interested in partaking in it. So
okay.
This is interesting.
Yeah, but I've learned to let my guard down and just go with the flow of everything. That's what this also taught me, just to go with the flow of everything and just learn to live in the moment. Because I feel like sometimes in the past I've been so stuck up and prude, and I'm not living in the moment and enjoying the moment with the people.
That's also community as well. A lot of people in the community are like that as well.
Yeah.
They have this thought of not really enjoying what's going on, the people around them. And if you just share energy, be your true self, it will be good.
Yeah. And it's perfect that you all brought up your backgrounds, because that was going to lead into my next question. When growing up and you thought of Black and gay, or anything related to it, what did that mean for you growing up?
Oh, instantly that made sense to who I was instantly. From the day I came out the womb, I heard that drum beat. Like, what is that? Like, okay, we always like are with something of that like ooze, okay? And so that's where I like noticed where I was like, okay, like this is my motherland. I'm from Africa at the end of the day, and I'm a king. Like, let me act as if I am that. And I already saw so much of that in like other stars like Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Prince, all those people growing up. And Beyonce was a big person to me that like inspired me to be my true self, because she's very, very quiet, but she's very like striking when she speaks in song or in any type of fashion or form. And that's how I wanted to see myself too. And so growing up with me, it was easy for me to tap into being that confidence that I've always wanted to be, and look at myself in the mirror and like dance or like play dolls with my sister, or play dolls even more than my sister. I remember I used to do that all the time, and I used to get in trouble by my mom's boyfriends. And like, I don't know why my mom would never accept, like she never accepted them for being like mean to me as a child. And that was like so great for me, because it never made me hide who I was. And I feel like once you don't hide, you can learn how to like go with the groove of it, and it starts to make sense with like how everything is. Like, you just start wearing art. Like, this is Leonardo da Vinci, this thing, and it's just like my life is imitating art at this point, and I'm just coasting through, like doing my nails right now, trying to like calm myself down, because I know that one day I'm gonna have a lot of duties to do. But for now, it's just like enjoy life.
So I would say growing up and like knowing what that was, it was a different experience for me due to like I came from a Christian background, and so what I was getting fed was this is something that wasn't okay.
Hi.
But for like, I would say like I feel like my first time I remember like liking a dude was in 3rd grade, but I just didn't know what it was. And I liked, and it was like at first I was very like open about it because I didn't think nothing was wrong about it. And I remember well, it's nothing still technically wrong, but you know, I didn't know that wasn't, you know, gonna fly in the household. I remember watching a video, it was a music video, and it was just an attractive dude in it, and I said something about liking him, and like my cousins was like, whoa, you're not supposed to do that, whoa, you're not supposed to do this. And so since then I took it as okay, this is not good. And then I heard family members say little things. I was like, oh, this is not okay. And so once I realized it, and I was kind of going through like my own battle of, well, I've been taught this is not okay, but I feel like this is how I feel. And so it was, you know, trying to go through that of accepting myself and kind of getting past that, you know, programming that I was programmed to feel. And so I would say for me growing up, it was always like seen as bad. And so that was kind of how I viewed it. And then once I came to high school and I was just, you know, becoming more of myself and going through things, I started to, you know, realize that, no, this is not a bad thing. This is like who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then as I just, you know, kept getting older and older and getting educated and realizing things, I ended up having a concentration in career studies for my bachelor degree. And so like definitely going to career studies and still learning, I was very like sheltered from that community. And so I've been trying to do a lot of learning, and still to this day, still doing learning and kind of understanding things, because when I was growing up, it was a no, not supposed to do that. And while I was still in the household, I was in the household until I was 18, I went to college. It was, you know, the only thing I was really going to was pride because that was the only thing I could really do. And that still made people upset. And so it was just like, I didn't really have a chance to explore it like I wanted to growing up due to my environment. And that's what I'm kind of doing now, exploring that and getting deep into it and in the community and all of that.
For me, I feel like, my extended family is like a religious background as well, but my intimate family is like very different. I feel like my first time like seeing like a gay black male, I'm in the choir and like I was staring at him because I don't know, I was a little boy just staring at him. My mom was like, "Why are you staring at him? That is rude. Stop staring at him." And I just kept, I don't know. That was very real. That's like my first time. I was just mesmerized about his presence, I guess, of being his true self. Then we moved away from Chicago and my mom started venturing out, like expressing her sexuality as well. So I seen her being a bisexual woman, and that was really good for me to see because I didn't know what was like. I didn't know that I was gay and stuff like that. So my experience has been good because I've seen my mom express herself and be the person that she really is. Yeah.
And she was an example.
Yeah, she was an example for me.
That's good. That's really good. I would say for me, growing up, just like Isaac, it was almost taboo to be like to talk about, or it just never really was brought up. And so I remember my first few times thinking about the topic or thinking about the idea of being gay. It was almost like somewhat ignorant because a lot of my conceptions about being gay was through like what I would hear like my dad say, or like I would hear adult males say about it, and it was just like, oh, what's that? Like, you know, what is that? Or even with trans women, you'd be like, oh no, that's a transvestite or something like that. That's still a man. And so a lot of the first few, you know, me being introduced to it, it was very much thought of ignorance and a fear. So it was like, okay, because this is not what people are used to, or this is not what people want, let me suppress that and never really talk about it. So I remember for me, my first real experiences of being gay was when I transferred to Kenwood. And so, you know, me, I was like real shy, real quiet, you know, minding my business. And then I remember someone would be like, oh yeah, we saw you with such and such. Are y'all together? And it's like, no, but it's like, I don't know how you would get that when I've never had a conversation with you for you to, you know, say that. So for me, it was like, but from that point on, it was like, okay, it's fine. Like, you will be okay. Like, you can navigate this. So I slowly, broke out of that thing, and then once, you know, I talked to my mom, and then eventually talked to my dad, and, you know, everything, the idea of it started to change. And once I accepted me for who I am, then everyone else accepted me for who I am, and the energy just followed suit. So yeah, for me growing up, it was like this, oh, you know, for me, it was, and then it was also because I was going to church, I want to say like my first preteen years. So it would be like instances, there was another gay boy that went to the church, and he would be like, I remember this one time he said something about Lady Gaga, and the pastor's father, he was doing Sunday school, and he heard Lady Gaga, and he went in on us. He was like, you said Lady Gaga? She is the devil. Do not say her name in here. You do not. I was like, I was just so like, I was just so astonished that like someone could like even, you know, any slight of mention of like femininity or gayness, it was like, oh my God, you are. It's like a sin to even bring that up in the church. So it was just like, oh, let me not say those type of things here. But then my family eventually stopped going to church, so I didn't really have that issue. That was my experience. And so from then on, that leads into the next question I have is, what role do you think Black families and society play in the development of young Black men and their sexuality? And I feel like they play a very pivotal role. Like I've spoken to some people, and yeah, their experience. I feel like the Black family, it's hard to explain. I got the words in my head, but it's hard to explain. But if anyone wants to give their perspective on that question, feel free to chime in.
I also would agree. Like, I feel it's a very important role because for a long time of your life, you're forming your identity based off your parents, and based off like your family, what your family is telling you until you get to a certain age that you can start kind of like breaking off. And so I feel like it's different for everyone. But you know, when I think about the my family and the Black men in my family and what I was trying and what they were trying to kind of force me, the type of Black man they wanted me to be, and very masculine, and doing sports and married kids, all that stuff. You know, it wasn't me, and I feel like in general, like from my experience, like I said, I'm just gonna speak from my experience because this is not everyone's family. I feel like most of the time, from what I've seen, is like the traditional roles of this and that, and even something that I've seen. I remember being a summer camp counselor, and it was like this. He was a little Black boy. He was like 5. He hurt himself, and the supervisor was like upset that he was crying because he hurt himself and told him to man up. And I remember hearing that and being so upset, and actually secretly going behind her back and comforting the little boy, because I'm just like, he's 5, he's hurt, he's crying, let him do that. Don't tell him to man up. Like, don't start putting that in his head right now. Like, he's 5, his brain is still developing, and he's probably going to remember that. And I'm like, I don't want that type of thing to set with, keep with him as life keep going. But from my experience, I feel like it's very pivotal, and that from what I've seen, there is still like, conforming to what the norm is and what they think of when I think of all the Black men in my life, and what the path that they wanted me to take, and how it was when I didn't take that path, and there were little slick comments, but that is what I would say, because just for a long time, like, you create your identity based off your parents until you get old enough to kind of figure out who you are, and so that's going to be your identity until you get knowledge on the different things that you feel and that you feel like you cannot talk to your parents about because they want you to be a certain way.
I would agree with that, and I would also even say that I feel like Black families also, there is a duty to okay, this is what I'm trying to reference this to, because I feel like some children growing up Black and gay, they almost feel like we don't talk about it enough, but just like young Black women, they get they are put around certain family members and they are raped and molested, I feel like it's not talked about enough on how there are little black boys who are also raped and molested by older male family members. And so you have black young males growing up, and they believe that, they may, what's the word for it, experience that or became who they are by that experience happening. I remember this one boy that I knew, he was telling me about how he had an older cousin who had did this to him, and he just hated himself so much because he feels like he shouldn't be experiencing this. And it's almost also like, I don't feel like black parents are doing the duty in supporting their children and helping them work and heal this trauma, because I feel like then they go into the world, because they go into the world not accepting themselves for who they are, because the source of what and who they are is trauma and pain. And so because they were molested and raped, and somewhat they, let me not even say enjoyed it, but somewhat it triggered something in them to be who they are now. And so I feel like if there is a duty, I feel like black families should talk more about or work more with their children and helping them to deal with their trauma, and also understanding where their children believe this, them being gay, lesbian, where that comes from, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's how I feel too about it.
I was gonna say the same thing. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing that.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I was gonna disagree with you, saying the same thing, that these topics need to be brought up more in the black community and black families in the household. Not even sexuality, but like trauma, finances, all these things, rape. I think these things, a lot with the black community, are swept under the rug, and if we just talk about these things, it would be definitely helpful for everybody, not only for the child, but also the next generation to come. Yeah, I think it's something that definitely needs to be brought up more in raising children.
Because then I also believe that, and this goes for children in general, but I also feel like it's almost like how in the movie Precious, and how the mother, Monique's character, basically resented Precious, and because in her mind she was in competition with her child, not realizing that the father was manipulating the mother and the daughter, because he is the male and he is the head of the house.
Right.
I feel that, I feel like more black families should seek counseling with their children, because your children, we may not believe it, some people may not believe it, but your children are watching you, and they are smarter than you think they are, so they are viewing you, they are looking, and because you're not setting the example of how to deal with certain things, then because you are the example, that's how they're moving in the world, and they're using you as a model as to how to deal with certain situations, when you, the parent, may never have had the tools to deal with the situation yourself.
Right. And I think that's where you're touching so many bases where things haven't even been talked about, and the way that you're talking about them. And I think it's so important because right now there is so much trauma that every family has gone through, that they're already going through right now, because it's 2020 and like everyone's just together. So I feel like all these traumas have been brought up to the surface, and it's time for us to now talk about how, in the community of being Black, how hard it is for the man to be looked up as strong and looked up as someone that is the, not bread maker, but someone who is the leader of what Black people are. And I think it's like people haven't put the power in men so much as they should have, and I think that that's what we're missing right now. So it's just that we need to start putting that energy and that good the good belief, the good word, the good everything into what man was and what he is and what he is bound to become, because there's so much that a Black man has to fight every day of his life. He has to fight death, he has to fight poverty, he has to fight so many things. Like like you said, rape. Like a lot of men are raped throughout all of this shit. Like social media, men have been raped. Like with that Jeffree Star situation with the guy that was actually a friend of mine, boyfriend. It was like her nigga, basically, was with Jeffree Star and was being taken totally advantage of by a white man. So it just goes to show on how so many people are being taken advantage of for just being Black, because we're that powerful. They want our blood. Literally, they take our blood to put it back on their skin. That's how real it gets. It's just very different nowadays in the world.
Not just that, but also just not just Black men, but also I feel like even so recently there's also been like this attack, or there's always like this stigma about femininity. And like I can remember talking to my dad last year, he was saying like, oh, there's like a gay agenda, and because you're seeing more gay people on television and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I wouldn't call it an agenda, but I feel like, you know, it's something that is more accepted. But also I feel that there's also this attack on, there's always like this, I don't know if it's just me, but growing up Black and growing up a male, and then also you are the firstborn, and you also may be the only male child. So it's also this it's also like this need for you growing up to be a masculine, strong Black male, and that any sense of femininity is there's some weakness within you that you need to correct. And
that's so weird, because it's divine femininity. Like that's what we're all supposed to have, is the balance.
Is exactly, but I feel like a lot of, especially growing up, you know, Black and male, and I feel like not even white men have this experience, because I feel like there's still something in them that's pushed for them to be truly who they are. But I feel like with Black men, you are ingrained from an early childhood, depending on your parent, is when you're crying or something happens, oh, you need to man up, you need to do this, you need to be this way, yada yada yada. Or you want to do this, oh, you're not doing that, you're doing this because this is what makes you a man. Or oh, you're a man, you need to be doing this. And so I can even remember on television, like this is what I was saying, like white people, or white and lighter skinned gay people, they are sometimes pushed to be who they truly are. And I can remember that as early as Degrassi. Like, I feel like a lot of times when you're looking at media and you hear the word gay, you automatically are thinking of white gay people, or that's the push that they push you to see. Is like, oh, gay, a blonde white gay man. This is the image. This is the prototype. And it's just like, we're all not like that. So why are you
why don't you see that? Why don't you understand?
Why is that my reference to my experience when that's not my experience? So yeah, that's just my thing. I feel like there's always, in the Black community, there's always been like this attack, especially when you're young and you're growing up a Black gay male. It's always been like this attack or this hindrance of you to not be feminine. Like, something, if you're feminine, there's something wrong with you and you need to correct that. So yeah, if anybody wants to piggyback off that, feel free to.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like that was in my experience my whole life when I was doing feminine things. Oh, don't walk like this, or get your hand off your hip. Don't do this. Why you crying? That was like my whole. That was my experience growing up, and my experience later on in life that I had with a certain group of people that. Like, I remember the experience with a certain group of people. It was like, oh no, the problem isn't that you're gay, but the problem is that I was just I expressed myself femininely. That they basically wanted, like, it doesn't matter if I was gay, just wanted to express myself more masculine. And so so I definitely agree with that, because I feel like, and also what you said too, like a lot of points that you said, it just took me back because I'm oldest. I'm only male. And so, it's just, this is my son. I want him to, continue on the legacy and be this man that I am, and have this wife, have this kid, continue the last name, and so and so and so and so, and keep it going. And when it's a different thing, it's almost as if trying to correct it rather than trying to actually sit down with your child, talk to them, see how they're feeling, see what's going on, and not look at it as something as, oh, this needs to be correct, because I'm not harming anyone. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just expressing myself how I would like to express myself, and it's just not masculine to your standards, but I enjoy how I express myself. So it's just like, going back to what y'all said earlier about conversation, like, having to listen and even also educating. Like, I feel like it's a lot of things that I see within the Black families, almost as if these certain things, if you're not checking these certain things off, then it's wrong. And it's like, no, it's not wrong. It's just not the way you do it. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong. You just don't do it like that, but it doesn't mean what the person's doing is wrong. Just educate yourself also on what that person is doing, and also have these conversations, see what's going on, rather than trying to push that person away. Because if once the person gets pushed away, the person's not gonna feel comfortable enough to have those conversations. Now the person's gonna always have this guard up, and I think that's super important. Just educating, knowing that as time go on, things are changing, things are always shifting, and we have to constantly be in a learning stage. We have to constantly be learning, because we're not going to know everything, and we shouldn't try to learn everything, but at least let's not be ignorant to certain situations. And so, yeah, basically go off of what you just said, all those points.
And I also feel that, like, that mental construct from an early age is kind of like moved itself into the gay Black community as well, because then I feel like just like how Black fathers or Black male adult figures in young Black men's life want you to be masculine. I also feel that there is also within the Black gay community, there's also this thing of like, okay, you are a top, you are a bottom. So you are a top. You need to be masculine, or you need to be this way, or I'm not going to entertain you. And it's also and I also feel like it's also this thing of pushing like, femininity, and I don't need you to be feminine. I need you to be straight, full male. And then also, if you're a bottom, it's like, oh, you have to be more feminine and docile, and you have to be be a certain way, and it's just a bunch of, to me, it's just a bunch of hoopla.
Bunch of like normative ways.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's pushing like gender roles.
Yeah.
In gay relationships. Like, okay, you're the top. You have to look this way. You guys as a couple, you have to look this way, and then you guys also have to act this way in a relationship. And it's just like, it just leads to a very unbalanced, to me it leads to a very unbalanced relationship, and it leads to a lack of balance as far as like, I feel like when you have those type of relationships, it's always like a power struggle for who is the more dominant force in that relationship. It's never equal. So I feel like gay people, I've always wanted to figure out like, where does that stem from? This idea that, even in gay relationships, you have to play in, for me, I see it mainly in Black gay relationships, but you have to play these gender roles and these gender constructs in the relationship. So where do you all believe those stem from?
I also think it stems from that. Like, I think from like just like things that I was learning like in like queer theory and queer studies classes, that because that is deemed in society as the norm, it's almost as if homosexuality is a branch from heterosexuality. So those concepts, the dominant concepts of heterosexuality, are also put into homosexuality. And so the thing of someone has to be the woman, someone has to be the man, that same concept goes into homosexuality because heterosexuality is the dominant group. And so kind of taking that and putting it into that, when in reality it doesn't need to be like that. We can do our own thing. It doesn't have to feed off the dominant group to society, at least. So that's what I think it stems from, especially to like, for the most part, that is what the main things we also see on TV, and the main thing we're socialized to see, main things in front of our face is heterosexuality. And so if you also don't have that much education about homosexuality, you're kind of gonna make base homosexuality off heterosexuality, because that's the one you're more familiar with. It's kind of like the same. Actually, no, I don't want to make that comparison. But basically,
no, say it.
Like I was just saying, like how, like, so the dominant race is white people, and so they're trying to assimilate to whiteness. That's basically what was the answer was. So the dominant sexuality is heterosexuality. So assimilating to heterosexuality, getting concepts from heterosexuality put into that. That's what I was comparing it to. But I didn't know if that made sense. So that's why I honestly think it stems from. It's just like the dominant group is society's heterosexuality, and because honestly, growing up, I know I didn't have that much education about homosexuality because that wasn't in my schools. That wasn't really on TV. And so it's just like, okay, well, it's like, well, who's going to be the man in the relationship? Who's going to be the woman in the relationship? Someone has to be the dominant. Someone has to be subordinate. Like, that is the concept of heterosexual couples. So this is also the concept for homosexual couples. In reality, we can create our own thing. It doesn't have to be like that.
And that's why representation is so important, so we know what's going on, or that it doesn't have to be the same way. So like that's why that is so important, so we don't have to live up to the heterosexual way, lifestyle, or roles. We can just make our own lane, and it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter relationship or person. You can, yeah. That's it.
My next question would be like, for everyone, when would you say was the first full moment that you fully accepted yourself for who you are and what you are?
When I first saw myself in front of the camera, just looking like who I truly was. And it was a night that was really special. It felt like one of like a Cinderella type night. And it was because I was featured on Vogue magazine on the beauty page, because I went to this party in Atlanta that was Red Bull Music Festival. It was like their gay party. It was like the gay parade party or something like that. It was a gay pride ballroom party, their first. And I went and I was like doing work for this one company under like in LA. And like they're this magazine called Subvert. They're really good. And I like literally got discovered that night, and I was just like, wow, like that's who I really am. That's how, like, that's what I look like. Like I just put so much effort into it, and like it just wasn't as, it was effortless, but it looked like it was effort into it, because like I did my makeup and stuff like that. But that's when I truly did accept myself, and I was like, wow, I can see myself in the picture and actually like it, not want to burn this and give it to the gods. But it was great.
I feel like I have two moments of that. My first moment would be when I was 16. I didn't come out. My mom found my phone, child, and she saw the conversations between me and a guy. But yeah, so she ended up asking me like, am I gay and stuff like that. And I lied, saying I was bi. You know how it goes. But
Girl, bi. It's nothing to it.
And she's like, are you bi or are you gay? I was like, no, I'm gay. But after the conversation, I was on my way to school, and I felt so free. Like, Telan, you do not have to hold this no more. You can just be free and true to yourself. And the second time, so I had a recent photo shoot, and I really want to push myself and be the person that I really am. So the theme was like androgynous, and the looks was something out of my comfort zone, wearing masculine items and stuff like that. So it was just like, Telan, it's okay to be yourself and mix and match your masculine and feminine together. So yeah, that was two. When I saw the pictures, I was like, wow, like you can really, that's you, that's who you are, and it's okay to be that.
Yes, I'm here for that. I really do want to see pictures of it, so I want to get you on Instagram too.
Okay. I got you.
So just to be clear, because I stepped away for a little bit, the question is about like, when do you accept yourself? Is that the question?
Yeah, when did you fully accept yourself for who and what you are?
Yes. So I also agree, because I feel like there were stages, because I felt like, well, at one point I was like, oh, okay, I did it, and then another point happened, I was like, oh, okay, and another point happened, and I said, oh, okay. So I would say, like, my first time was definitely when I came out junior year of high school to my family, even though it was a battle. I realized that though I was willing to battle. Like I realized that it wasn't like how I used to, like before I was like quiet about it. I didn't really take it there, go head to head. But then it was like I want respect. And so, the smart comments, I'm not gonna allow the smart comments anymore. And so then it was then when I eventually left and went to college. My freshman year, I had a blast. I was doing everything I wanted to do. And then it was crazy because when that happened, I was really fully coming to myself. I had an incident, which I was kind of talking about earlier, when I joined something, and it was like the opposite. They wanted me to be something I wasn't. And I went through a very, very depressed time, and eventually I left. And then, like, during that part, so I would say I'm 20 now. I was 20 at that time when I left. And then during that part, I realized that, well, Isaac, you're where you are at because of who you are. And you've been happy with who you've been. And so you don't need anyone. You don't need to be in the presence of anybody that's not gonna make you feel happy for being yourself, that is gonna cause you to be depressed because you can't be yourself. You don't need those people in your life. You don't need to conform to anything, because you've gotten that far to even get in that group where people were oppressing me because of who I was as a person, because of what I wanted to be as a person. And so, like, since 20 and now, I've just been exploring different things, and that's been my whole thing, is that I am Isaac before anything else, and I step into the room, that's what it is. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. It's not my problem. And that's when I really realized, like, going through that hardship, going through that downtime, that, you know, kind of like, you know what, Isaac, you gotta live in your truth. You gotta make yourself happy. This is who you are, and that is completely okay. And who you are, explore, do what you want to do. You only live this once. Once it's all said and done, they ain't gonna be laying with you, and you know, in the cast, they ain't gonna be next to me. It's gonna just be me there. So I'm not gonna sit here trying to please nobody but myself and be who I want to be in this life.
Amen.
Yes, I love that. Because I would say for me, it was like Isaac, like it was like in stages. Like I remember, okay, so if some of y'all know, okay, so my family, they practice Yoruba. So my mother, she had got a reading, and the guy that we were getting readings from, he had said that, oh, you know, Marshawn, it's not a secret, but he has something that he feels like he can't talk to you about, that, you know, that you're gonna judge him on. So then she asked me, and then that's when, like, Telan, I came out as like pansexual, bisexual. I was like, okay, this is, you know, this might be what it is, but you know, so but yeah, then later on, like, it was really, because even in high school, I still felt somewhat not fully in who I am. Like, I was okay with who I was, but I wasn't fully like, Marshawn, like, this is who you are. And then I feel like it really wasn't until I left high school and, like, was able to, like, experience life in certain ways. And then that's when I was like, okay, Marshawn, this is who you are. Like, you just gotta, you know, you are who you are, and that's okay. Like, you are the bomb. Like, there ain't nothing really to it. So just be who you are. And, you know, I feel like once I fully accepted myself, I feel like people just naturally started gravitating, you know, rocking with me. So, you know, that was my full circle, my little inner awakening moment for me. So yeah,
I'm here for it. That shit was fun.
You know, it was a battle. You know, inner wise it was a battle, but outer wise, okay, this is you. You just got to be okay with who you are and be able to move out into the world, and, you know, not really let anyone knock you off your square. So that was my whole thing. My next question would be, was there ever a time you felt discouraged or felt less than because of your sexuality? And I feel like we all have these moments in this community. Yeah.
I felt that really early on doing my music. I feel like it's kind of hard getting out to be looked as serious when you get to do music, because it's like people judge you the most when you're a singer, and it's a lot of judgment, and it's taken me years to get a song out to people. But once I did get out a song, I got so many words of encouragement, so many words of like dislike, so many everything, and I was just like, you know what, I don't care about what anyone thinks. It's not about if they love it or if they hate it. If I love it and if I like it and if I'm okay with it being out, then it's gonna be that, and that's that on that, period. So I just am choosing not to stay out of thinking that way, so I don't even put myself in that mental headspace, because everything else is taken care of, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like recently, well, not that recent, the most recent one where I felt encouragement, kind of like when I was talking about when I joined like that group, and they were.
Was it
Yes. Trying to keep it cute. Just trying to keep it cute, child. But yes, it was a fraternity. And so.
Oh, that's myself. You know, he's gonna try to keep it off the record.
Yeah, just trying to keep it cute for the girls. But I felt like, you know, it was very discouraging, because, you know, when I did that, I was already discouraged because no one was like that on campus. But this is something that I wanted to do. This is something like, you know, that I was like, well, I'm still going to do, even though there's no one on this campus. And I was hoping from that experience to also help other Black gay men feel comfortable. But it was too much I was going through, and I didn't want to put nobody else through that. And so I was just like, I'm out. And so I feel like, yeah, with that, it was very discouraging, because it was just like I was doing everything well, but the problem was my sexuality. Like, the problem wasn't grades, the problem wasn't work ethic, the problem wasn't putting on program, the problem was the sexuality, and these things that I wanted to do, but I felt like I was getting blocked because of my sexuality, that I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do, and I couldn't help people how I wanted to help and create things how I wanted to create, because everyone was so focused on something that didn't even matter. And so I would say that's probably the most recent time that, you know, I felt discouraged, and I felt like I want to do so much, and this little thing is bothering people, and it shouldn't be bothering people. I don't get it.
So that's interesting if you think about it, because like you had a fraternity that you're in that was supposed to be for other people to be involved in that were also like you, but it didn't go that necessarily direction. How was it when people weren't understanding where you're coming from? How was that for you?
It was pretty difficult, because I was the only, well, I mean, to my knowledge, the only gay one. And so,
Stop, girls. Let's talk.
To my knowledge, I was the only one. I was open about it, and it was kind of hard, because with that, it was be like I'm on one accord, and no one else like wanted to like jump on my side. And so trying to navigate that, it was just like, it seemed like it was always everything against me. And, you know, for the basis of it, I'm like, I'm doing all this. And every time we have a meeting, you tell them the advice to leave, and everyone wants to talk about clothes I had on or my sexuality. And I'm like, but let's talk about the people in here that's not doing work. I'm doing the work. And I'll never forget, over the summer, the advisor told me, because I was in the org, and it was like, well, you are the president of this org, so you're going to bring a lot of people to the fraternity, so maybe you should switch the maybe you should fix the switch in your walk. And I said, whoa. First of all, you're not going to let me know that I'm bringing in the most people and then try to change me.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it sounds like you need me. I'm going to be who I'm going to be. And so if there's a switch in the walk, there's a switch in the walk. And because the thing is, I'm like, I don't know why you all want me to recruit people and think I'm going to let anyone homophobic come into this fraternity. That's not happening on my watch. And so it was just crazy because it was just like me against them. And then it was just like, eventually I was like, we're going in two different directions. This is not good for my health. I'm gone.
Go.
I was ready to tell when that came.
Okay. Bloody Mary in that bitch. Sorry.
Yeah.
You are very strong to be able to handle something like that, because that's something like, who could have given someone the power to do something like that, and you make the wise decision just to let it go. Like, that's all you could do. That's all you should have did, and that's what you did do. And that's what we needed, period. I needed to hear that.
Period. We have one more guest added. If you could just introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, sorry I missed the party. I just got home from work, but I'm Aaron. I am a Black, gay, queer, gender non-binary person, filmmaker, Chicagoan, and friend of Marshawn's. So I'm just like tagging on to like.
This is so cool. It's like my first time doing this, so I'm just like, wow.
Oh no!
Yes.
We have went through like an array of topics.
I'm sure.
The question that we were on now is, was there ever a time where, I guess you can answer the last two questions. The first question was, when was your full circle awakening moment where you fully accepted who you are for what you are? And then the second question is, was there ever a time where you felt discouraged for being who and what you are?
Well, I feel like that coming to terms with who I am is something I'm still going through, kind of. It's just been like an ongoing process where I'm like, oh wait, there's more, and then I have to kind of figure it out. But in terms of, I guess, my sexual identity, it was honestly like not until the end of high school where I really just had to accept the fact that I was different, and one, that I was attracted to guys, but also like that it wasn't just bound to that, it was also like my gender expression and just like the way that I think of how I should portray myself as a person and not just like a man, if that makes sense. And honestly, like this is just weird, but it was Frozen, that song Let It Go. I feel like that was like a very specific moment where like, yes, like that was my song, and I was just like, damn, you're right, like fuck these haters, like fuck everybody who don't agree with who I am, like so that was something that really got, like, that was kind of a huge breakthrough for me. And then I even like, honestly, my, coming in terms of my racial identity wasn't something that came up until college, where I was in an environment where I was like other, and where I have to be like, oh, hold on, like people are perceiving me a certain kind of way because I'm a Black gay man, and like having to kind of work through like how, like, not subduing myself or trying to filter myself in order to make other people around me feel comfortable. And that was something that I dealt with through all 4 years of college. And it was kind of like, really didn't come to those realizations until like my junior, senior year, where I found myself in like situations where I just wasn't comfortable, and I was like, how did I end up in this place where I'm constantly trying to fit myself into these little boxes to make my peers feel comfortable? And yeah, and it took I don't know what it took, but it was really like my last year of school where I really like came to terms with the fact that I don't fuck with everybody in my circle. I'm not comfortable with everybody in my circle, you know, and I had to kind of filter that out, and learn how to be myself fearlessly. And that's something, like I said, that I'm still working through every day and learning how to allow myself to be myself. And yeah, what was the second question?
The second question was that, I'm sorry, I just had some guacamole tacos. Was there ever a time where you felt discouraged or felt less than because of who you are? Was there ever a time where someone or something made you feel for being who you are?
I feel like for me, it was a lot. I felt a lot of that in elementary school and high school. And that was really the time that kind of conditioned me to shrink myself, to just not be noticed, I guess. Because, you know, I got teased in elementary school for, I think it was Isaac who was talking about the walk, or just like the way that you talk, or like talking with your hands. Like I was heavily criticized for that, you know, always. And that was even before I knew that I was gay at the time. Like that was before I even thought about it. I was just being myself. But to other people, like my neck was too loose, you know? And so it did, you know, I felt like I was lacking something, especially when it came to kind of being around my like male counterparts, where they were like hyper masculine, and there was just something about the way that they communicated with each other that I felt like I was outside of. So I just, you know, yeah, so it was a lot of feeling like an outcast in elementary school. And even in high school, I would say it's just because I didn't fit in with the straight boys. Like, I just didn't. I'm like, I don't get your humor. I don't understand why y'all gotta be so goofy all the time and just like disrespect women. Like, it don't make sense to me. But honestly, after a certain while, I realized that it wasn't that I was less than. It was that my mind was open to more. And so it became like a superpower. I would honestly say like my queerness and even like blackness, like it's a superpower because you are literally forced to exist outside of the margins and like to see things from a different perspective. And so I would say like the coming to terms with my identity went hand in hand with the feeling like I was lacking something. Yeah, I think that's
I could solely agree with that, because I can remember even in grammar school and even into high school, you know, you being one of the more feminine black gay kids, and then you have you mainly have female friends, and so it would be instances where like you're arguing and then they're making a point to call out, oh, and it was the girls. It would be like, oh, this is why you have mainly female friends anyway, you know, yada yada yada.
Yeah. And honestly, so in like 7th grade, most of my friends were girls, and like they were kind of the only people that I hung out with, but they were also like the people who were bullying me, like on the low, you know, just like paying attention to me and like making me roll my eyes and like beef him and like kind of pulling it out of me and then being like, oh yeah, dude, that's why he's gay. And I'm like, damn, that's disrespectful as hell. Like, I'm putting my trust in you to like be myself and you're judging me, So that was another thing. It was just like, I felt like I had very few friends for that reason, because they felt like everybody was just trying to prove to me who I was. And I feel like I didn't even get a chance to kind of explore that before it was placed onto me. And I don't know. I feel like that's the thing that like many of us may experience, where you are called out for things that are just come natural to you, but is deemed as or labeled as gay. And so I feel like that's what made me more resistant to accepting it for so long, because I was just like, well, why does the way that I talk determine who I'm attracted to? It just felt unfair, like people just kind of taking your identity and throwing it back in your face. So yeah, I definitely felt like in order to not be seen as that, I had to just like, adjust. And that applies to sexuality, gender expression, and like racial identity, I feel. But yeah, I'm interested to know what everybody else, I'm sure I've missed it already, but feel free to chime in.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even in high school, like there were gay guys that went to our high school, but I don't know, it was something that really didn't make me want to interact with them in a way. It's like I just was kind of like in my own thing. I didn't really feel like I connected with them. Capacity, like, so it just like I kind of like, and because sometimes I know me, and I know that sometimes in the past I can be standoffish, so because I don't really, I don't know, and then I also and I think that stems from me working to accept myself, like because I don't really accept you for who you are, or because I really don't accept me for who I am, and I really don't want to interact with you and try to really force myself to accept who you are, what and how I am, and how we connect on a level. So yeah, I just didn't pursue any type of friendship like that. So
yeah, I get that, and I feel like for me, part of that, because I shared that same experience, I think, where I kind of just avoided the gay groups in school, because I didn't want to be associated with that, but also it was because I didn't want to accept those parts of myself. So yeah, I agree. But it was also like, I felt like that I had to meet a certain expectation. Like I had to be a certain kind of gay, and I just wasn't that at all.
That was another thing too, because I feel like being a part of those groups at that school, it's kind of like pigeonholed into being a certain way to be a part or be connected. It's just like I don't really see myself in them, so there's really no need for me to like interact with them, or like we will be cool, but I don't really see us being like buddy ha ha,
right?
Like we just cool. But I also think that stems from me. It also stems from because I feel like because they were more feminine, it was still like this thing of like we were talking about earlier in the show, like not really wanting to accept the feminine parts of yourself. It's almost like they're throwing it in your face for you to like understand and accept it. So, but because you don't want to deal with it, then you're kind of like closed off from wanting to connect to them. So that was my experience. So yeah. But I feel like discouragement, I feel like I got that mainly in grammar school. Like you say, even before knowing that that's who you are, it was like, oh, you gay, you know, it was you this, you that. And it's just like, how do you know that? Like, I don't even know that about myself. Like, I'm happy that you know who you are, but I'm not at that place yet where I know who I am. So yeah.
Used to be for me. I mean, I'm only 21 years old, and like I just finally got into like my adulthood with my shit, because I felt like I was always never too gay enough, or I was never too like just the way I wanted to be, or conservative ways that I kind of tend to fall back into just because of like what I've been conditioned into. But I think that right now it's just important for me to express the way I feel with anything that I do. Like it could be anything. Like it could be like makeup, or it could be music or a song of the day that just gets me going. I'm trying to take days by day, because I feel like once you do that, you can start to figure out like what is it truly your purpose. You know, purpose is everything, and I think that it's like, why would you not want to figure out all of that first than to get yourself into so many other things to handle, you know?
LOL. Well, my experience was Marshawn, stop. My experience was, so I'm a dancer. There was an audition to be a part of this show that I was in a program for. And yeah, she was like, oh, I need a male dancer and a female dancer. And I was like, me. And I was like, doing the single lady dance. And she's like, no. She's like, no, Telan. And like another person went for it. And like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe in my true self, She didn't cast me. I didn't even do not one step, not one time do before you even said like yes or no. So I don't know. I felt like it was always like this role of, especially in dance, I don't know, but you had to be masculine, especially for males. In concert dancing, that you have to be this dominant male thing. Like, I know for like touring and stuff like that, they never want you to be the female, like feminine, unless it's like that song or that thing, but that's like who I am. So it was like discouraging to find like, why do I need to turn this on and off? And like, why am I being discriminated because this is who I am and you haven't even seen me do anything yet?
Do you believe that, I believe this for a minute, but do you believe there is a certain way you should act when interacting with like other gay people or straight
family,
people or your family?
Treat them like family.
Yeah.
It's just like, be nice to them.
Yeah.
But you never know what people are going through, so I just treat people how they need to be treated, just nice.
And that's for everybody. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you treat people with open arms.
Yeah.
Right. Just show them something of gratitude. Just be like, I'm thankful for like everything. I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, like, I feel that I agree. You should be that way, but I also see the other side of the coin, and I feel like sometimes when you are entering certain spaces, it's almost like you turn it. It's like a switch and you turn it on. It's like you act a certain way when you around other people like you, or even when you're around your family and your family may not be as accepting to who you are, it's like, oh, okay, you got to turn this down. And, you know, I feel like sometimes there is that pressure to be certain ways in certain spaces with other people.
I agree.
Yeah, I also agree.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Isaac.
I was gonna also agree with that, and kind of gonna say that that's definitely like what I've been coming out of. Well, I would say for 2 years, not that recently, of that. You know, usually, especially like a familiar thing like the barbershop and that code switching. And, you know, recently knowing that, like, you know, I now want to come into spaces just how I am, because if I don't feel comfortable in that space, that I should probably leave that space. Due to my experiences, I'm like, I don't like feeling uncomfortable, so I should just leave. But definitely, like before, it was always like, so in order for me to be comfortable, in order for me to get through this, let me act this way so I can get what I need to get done and I can leave. But I feel like now, as I'm getting older, that's something that I'm coming out of, because it's just like I was, you know, kind of like you said with your family, and I was in my family, but now I'm just like, regardless if you all want to get to know who I am now and not your image of who you think I am, I'm just gonna come in these spaces and be like that, because y'all tell me all the time, well, that's just how so-and-so is. Well, this is just how Isaac is, you know? And so, you know, recently I felt like I'd be getting out of that, and, you know, especially when going to the question of like seeing other gay people, I also just try to treat with love, because I love seeing other queer people be in that space, because I'm like, yay, community, yay.
Yeah.
You know, the same similarities. I love it. So it's always, you know, warm welcome. But I think, you know, which I feel like kind of we all in the past, you know, tried to code switch just so we can be comfortable. You know, it was kind of a survival thing. We want to be comfortable. We don't want attention on us. We're just trying to get in, we're trying to get out, and then we're gone. But now I'm seeing that I'm breaking out of that. I'm just kind of more so like, well, I want to be myself in this space, because if I can't, that means I shouldn't be in this space. Because you're not that important to me that I should be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I feel like my mindset on that now is just like, I don't want to be remembered as like this stuck-up person who is closed off and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just feel like I deserve to take up space. I deserve to be here no matter what room I'm in. And that's like my mindset of wherever I go. It's just like, I deserve to be here. Yeah, even in the barbershop, well, I don't go to the barbershop anymore because, by here. But I deserve to be here because I pay my $15, $25 to be here as well. And so, I don't know. That's my mindset. I want to be remembered as this light of the room and not this stuck-up person who stood on a wall because
Yeah, honestly, probably one of the best energies that can walk into a room, you know? And so that's something that I have to remind myself every day to take up space. Mm-hmm. And like, it's okay to take up space, and it's okay to gain attention and to speak and like to get in the way, you know, like you have to, you know, for me, I've had to make people see me. Mm-hmm. And I think I still kind of deal with the code switching, but it's more subconscious. And I kind of have to catch myself in those moments where I'm like, where I encounter someone and I just become more masculine or fix the intonation of my voice. And, you know, it's a daily practice, but I'm working to, like, when I catch myself in those moments, I'm like, okay, how do I make myself more comfortable and allow myself to just release that, whatever that internal thing that I'm holding on to. And even with my family and like with my parents, I've started to just kind of talk to them how I would talk to my best friend, you know, and seeing how they have adapted to it, like seeing how they like adjust themselves, I guess, to allow me to take up that space is empowering for sure. But I will say there's nothing like encountering another gay person in a room full of straight people and being like, oh, okay, finally somebody to talk to, you know?
Yeah.
I love those moments. But other than that, yeah, I definitely like, yes, I want people to love me for who I am. And understanding that I have something to offer, you know, and me being myself is helping other people. Yeah.
I agree, and I feel like growing up, I used to do that code switching. Like I just said, I was trying to think of the word to say for it, but you took it right out of my mouth. But I feel like I used to do that growing up. But now I feel that I don't know, because I'm pretty cavalier, so now I kind of like I'm just being myself in every space that I enter. Like sometimes I wish I was more flamboyant, but then sometimes I'm like, okay, Marshawn, just be what's true to you. Like you don't have to put on anything for anyone to exist in that space. So yeah, that's my thing. Now I don't feel like there's a pressure to like, you know, not be me to this or to interact with people, but I kind of like just do me. And if you align with it and you agree with it, then we can coexist together. But if not, then you know it's not an issue. Like I'm not.
Oh well, yeah, because who's gonna check you?
So yeah.
I remember growing up and like my voice has always been high, and people used to ask me why you talk like a girl, and I used to like I have a smart mouth, and my response was, this is how God made me. So if you don't like it, you talk to God, and that's how, like, I don't know, like that was literally my response to every time they ask me why my voice is so high, why I talk like a girl, and I feel like that has like helped me, like
with God.
If you don't like it, boo, it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so that leads me to one of the last questions that I have is that because it literally popped in my head like right now, but do you feel that? Because I feel like for me, okay, let me say this so it makes sense. For me, it's like because you are that only connection to the gay experience, it's almost like people look at you as like the guidebook for everything going on in the community or everything that they have a question about, and then sometimes it's like, you know, like I don't really know that answer. I'm still kind of like figuring it out for myself. So I guess my question would be like, you know how sometimes when you're growing up, you have your parents, but then if your parents don't know, you have your grandparents to lend on to guide you and to help you navigate through that experience. And I feel like, do you believe that there should be some type of, like I know there are houses, but I know not everyone has the privilege or the experience to be a part of a house and learn about the community. And I feel like a lot of times our experiences and our knowledge of working through the community is just like living through it and like trying to figure it out. Like I remember being in high school, people would ask you like, what are you? Are you a top? Are you a bottom? And you're just like, what is that? Like, I don't
literally.
like you asking me something that I'm not privy to. So it's just like, do you feel that there should be people, or there should be a space, there should be a space secluded to people learning and understanding who they are or the things that exist within the community? Because I feel like I wish there was some form of guidance, or I had someone to guide me and help me understand everything about my community. Because like I know things about my community, but there's still so much that I have yet to learn about the community. So what is everyone's take on that?
Well, for me, I feel like I've had that privilege. I graduated high school at 16, and like, I saw these gay people just going to parties and stuff like that. I was like, well, I want to go out and stuff like that. And that's how I found my sense of community, even outside of like parties and stuff like that. I joined like a little family, and like they were like a good people to be around, help me with my future. And outside of like the house family scene, there are like outreach programs and centers in Chicago that have these spaces for us to be.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, I mean, like you said, Marshawn, like not everyone has access to those resources. So definitely, like, I think we definitely like need to make those resources in like communities more accessible to younger people, especially. But I felt like I could never be a spokesperson for the gay community because my experience was so subjective. And so it's just like I can't speak on behalf of gay people. I can speak on behalf of me, you know. And I really didn't find, I mean, I had gay friends in high school, but I really didn't find that community where I felt like I was being raised in a way, or like just being taught about how to navigate queerness until I got to college. And I was a freshman and I met these juniors, these theater kids, real crazy, and they kind of helped me explore that. And you know, and also it's when I just started learning more about just the queer community in general. I was exposed to Paris is Burning and just like learning about you know, ballroom dancing and drag, and all that stuff was just like coming. I was like, wow, like it's so expansive, you know, it's not just one thing. So yeah, definitely I think it would have helped me a lot if I had that at an earlier age. And I think if we just have more mentors who are involved in those communities, who can actually help young people, especially in school, and like elementary school and high school, so that they don't feel alone, and so that they feel like they have a support system and someone to turn to for that guidance. Yeah.
I definitely agree, because that's something that like I want to do for like once I get this degree and finally get into education, want to help other like Black Christians navigate through, you know, whatever they're going through, because that's something that I never experienced. Everything as I have been just navigating, and you know, I never had you know, an elder or someone that knew of it. All of it has just been me, like just learning and doing different things, and then, you know, also having friends and having a conversation, and then picking up things from that conversation, like trying to check out. And so like throughout, you know, I feel like that would be, you know, nice, you know, because I just remember so many things that was happening. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of want an opinion from someone that is, you know, both my identities. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have that access to that. So I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it and see what it is, navigate it and see what it is for myself. But now that I have no experiences, I also, want to be that for once I eventually work in colleges. I want to be that for Black queer students, helping them navigate through, college, but helping them navigate through life in general, because that is still something that, it's still some stuff that we come to college with. As back as coming to college with, and we're still trying to navigate ourselves to how we was raised. And so I definitely feel like if I had access to that, I would definitely love that, because it was a lot of times I wanted the access to that, and I had questions, and then I'm like, well, the only people I can really ask, and let's see how my friends feel about it as also part of this community, or let's see what Google, where I can Google and get knowledge.
Right.
And so definitely feel like that would be helpful, because it's just like growing up, I'm getting all this information. I'm just like, this don't apply to me. Like, I don't care about none of that. Like, this is the stuff I care about, and there's no one, there to help me. But I just hope that I can change another Black queer person's life as I get older. As long as they're good, I'm good with that.
What advice would you give to someone in supporting their family member who may be growing, trying to understand their experience in being gay, but also what advice would you have to someone who may not have a family that they can go to understand themselves and accepting who they are? I know for me, like Isaac, I think it was Aries that said, like, one of the many things that he saw within himself was like seeing like Beyonce or Janet Jackson, or just it's almost like this inner knowing of like divine feminine. So it's like, damn, like you see that in them, so it's kind of like, because you see it in them, you almost see it yourself. So yeah, what advice would you all have for someone who's growing and moving through their experience as a Black gay queer person?
Well, I would first say, I always think it's funny, first of all, I just want to say something funny about Beyonce, because that was my girl. And it's just so funny because they thought I had a crush on Beyonce. I said, oh no, baby, that's not it. That's not it. I don't got a crush on her. That's my girl. That's my girl. But like the main thing I feel like, and just in general,
if someone says don't be depressed, your depression is cured.
It's good. It's good.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you guys hear me with my friend?
Yes.
Wait, let me call you back later, Sydney. I can't do this right now.
Just mute yourself.
What'd you say?
I said just mute yourself.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
What I was gonna say is I feel like a lot, just like as Black people in general, Black gay people in general, we are not taught that our experiences are valid. And so knowing that what you are experiencing is valid, like don't have anyone tell you like, oh, this is not happening, or you shouldn't believe this, and you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't be like this. But just knowing that your experiences are valid, because I think a lot of times that's what we do. We question. We just start questioning things because we're not getting nothing. God, please. I'm trying to keep a straight face.
No, yes, keep going.
And I feel like a lot of things that we question a lot, or we think this is wrong and this is not right, or we question like, maybe I shouldn't be experiencing this, or maybe I shouldn't be doing that. but we're not told that our experiences are valid. We're always questioning ourselves, or we're always trying to be something else. But I feel like a part of that is just, knowing that you are experiencing this and exploring that experience and knowing that that's valid, and don't have anyone tell you that your experience is not valid. It's just they haven't experienced that, but that doesn't mean you're not experiencing that. And I would say for like relatives that want to support, really like listening and educating, because educating yourself, I would say, is just for the fact of, a lot of the times, like I just remember like having conversations and people was trying to impose things on me and not listening to me. And it's like, I'm the expert in what I'm experiencing. I'm the expert in what I'm feeling. And for your support and for me to get out what I want to get out, like I just want you to listen and, also be honest. And if you are ignorant to the situation, say you're ignorant to the situation. But also use what I'm telling you and also educate yourself, and don't use me as the education. Educating yourself, looking things up, and constantly being that thing of unlearning and relearning, because from my perspective, I was taught basically to be homophobic. The way my family was and Christian, gay was bad. So I had to unlearn that and relearn what that was for me. And so I would say, listening, educating yourself, and, understanding your bias that you may have against people who express their sexuality that's outside of what the dominant group is to society. But yeah, I would just say overall, experiences are valid, and know that what you're experiencing is valid, even though people might be questioning that is your experience. It just was not their experience. And also people listening and people taking the time to educate themselves, understanding their biases, unlearning what they were taught, and relearning what things going on. We have to, constantly just be learning in general.
Yeah, I agree. And I would my biggest thing for family members who want to support the queer people in their spaces, is my biggest thing is to listen. If nothing else, just listen. And if you have questions about that specific person's experience, ask questions. But I think you made a lot of great points, Isaac. It's about doing the research. Just white people who want to support the Black Lives Matter movement need to do their research. And for any queer people who might, be looking for community or looking for support, chosen family is very real, very valid. You will encounter people in your life that you are closer with than your actual family. And that's okay, because there are people out there that are there to support your life. And those relationships can be, just very, very helpful for understanding your own identity and helping you get through certain stages in your life. So be open to that. So I have a lot of chosen family and people that are just gonna be there to the end, and that's that. And there's nothing wrong with that. So
I think it was mine is a combination of both. For the family members, is I think that it's very important that you educate yourself about every situation that's going on, but also for the person, so they will have this resource or knowledge of what's going on, and to listen, just be there, not push yourself, I'm gonna say push yourself, not assume anything. Just listen and be there for that person. And also, chosen family is real. Just because they're blood or just because they're not blood doesn't mean that they can't be family to you or be there for you. I know growing up, my mom moved away to Columbus, and I was here just with family members by myself, and I didn't feel like supported by these outside people, but I know other people that was around me that could be that for me, so they became my family. I started hanging out with them more, and that was my support system while my mom and my brothers were gone.
I would say, like, family members, I would say my biggest advice is be willing to be wrong. Be willing to be wrong. Because I feel like everyone has said, like, I feel like Isaac said earlier, like, you're almost being black and being gay, you're almost taught to be homosexual. You almost taught to be against homosexuality. So it's almost like when they are encountered with it, it's almost like this battle to prove to force you that this is what I believe, and you have to fall into the parameters of my belief system. And it's just like, that may be what you believe, but that's not my life, and I can't be something that is not me. And it's always like, I know, like, sometimes in the past, even my own dad has been like, oh, you know, when you come into this earth, you're meant to procreate, and it's meant to be a man and a woman, not a man and a man or a woman and a woman. And it's just like, that may be what it says, but that's not the truth that's not the God in my eyes. Like, I have to be my own representation of what God is. But yeah, be willing to be wrong. Don't stop being in this position to feel like you have to prove to them why what they're doing is wrong or what they're doing with their life is bad. And it's like, it's their life to live. That's not your decision to make as to what they want to do with their life. And I would just say, for a queer person, I would just say there's nothing wrong with who you are, what you're going through. Like, everything you're going through is meant to happen to make you who you are. But also, I would say everything happens in stages. At least for me, going through this experience, everything that I've learned and stuff like that, it's literally happened in stages. So just be okay with the stages. Not everything is personal. Not everything is permanent. That's another one. And also, I would say with family members who are struggling with the idea of their family member being gay or queer and black, think higher of your family members, because you said such I know there are some family members like, oh, you can come to me, but it's like, when I do come to you, there's no support there. You're always talking down to me and not, trying to inquire or want to really know about me. So just think higher of your family members. And yeah, that would be my advice for everyone. And be okay with having that balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. Like, I know, and I would say that to a black gay man, like, I know there are going to be forces growing up that will try to force upon you that you have to be this way to exist, and you're my child, you have to be this way. I ain't raising no punk, I ain't raising no thief. Like, support your children with love, but also help them and work with them to accept who they are, and that who they are is okay for them to exist and be. One of the last questions I have, I'll just combine it. It would be, what would be a takeaway from tonight's show? And also, what are resources that you could recommend to someone to either read up upon or view or learn upon about this experience?
I will say what you just said, Marshawn, really stood out to me. Finding that balance between masculinity and femininity. That's something that I have really grown into, like exploring both my masculine and feminine sides. And just like allowing yourself to go through those stages, and just feeling whatever you're feeling and just like allowing it to flow out of you. So I think, I came in at the tail end, but my biggest takeaway for sure would be like just like allowing yourself to feel the things you feel because they are valid, and there is a purpose to them. And there was this book, How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. Very like it's just about him growing up Black and gay in the South, and I connected to it in a lot of ways, but it also showed me just like how the gay experience, or just like the queer, like the Black queer experience, is really subjective to everyone, even though we all kind of share certain experiences when growing into that. But that is one book that I can recommend. Very fun read. It's also traumatizing and painful and sad, but it's very beautiful overall. So.
My biggest takeaway is what Marshawn said as well about being the best version of God. What did you say?
Version of God in my eyes, not.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway, especially having a Christian, religious background.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that really will help me as I move on with life to have that image of me for myself. Yeah, and also I will recommend. I don't know. These spaces, Brave Space Alliance is a place where someone can go queer, that can go to if they need outreach or like want to be around, need a community, need testing for like anything, education. The Brave Spaces Alliance is a good place. Well, in Chicago, I know. That's what I would recommend.
For me, there are two books. I don't know the author, but my mom has the book. She introduced me to it. But it's one book called Divine Masculine, and then there's another book called Divine Feminine. So those are good ones. Another book that I recently finished reading. It was insightful. What you say?
Wait, the question was the Lord for both?
Oh, takeaways from tonight's show. Helping children, for parents and adults, it would be helping children to discuss and understand and heal their trauma. Because like I said earlier in the show, there are, just like how there are young Black women who get raped by older family members, there are also young Black men who get raped by older family members and go through many years struggling with what happened and thinking that what happened is the reason for them being gay or etc. And then another takeaway is just like the affirmation at the beginning of the show, living in the truth, living in your own truth, not forcing yourself to have to be a certain way for other people, being what you think other people want you to be, just being true to who you are. And then my resources, like I said, the one book is called Divine Masculine, the other book is called Divine Feminine. Another book that I finished reading recently was All Boys Aren't Blue by George Johnson. That was a good one. And then also watching things with representation of people who look like you. So I know for me, one of it was Pose. Like Pose really like helped me truly helped me really to see the beauty in my community, but also it helped me. It was one of the tools that helped me learn more about my community, because like I said, some people in my family come to me as like a spokesperson, and for all gay people it's like, I don't know that much, I only know so much. So it helped me to want to research and learn
That's
more.
exactly how I live my life too. Sorry to interrupt, but they always come to me for the experience, and I'm like, I don't want to experience as much as you want me to, and I don't want to be as strong as you want me to be, but I am, because I am who I am, and who I am is gay. And you have to be 1 in a million to be called on to be gay. I feel like it's 1 in a million of souls that get to be gay in this world and get to live this beautiful life, you know? We see the colors in the life, and I want to see that in my children. I want that to be spoken into the lives of other children, period.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Aaron, he mentioned Paris is Burning. Really good.
Yes.
And there's another one
I
that
used to watch Noah's Ark too.
Me too.
There's actually a show that I would love y'all to know. Have you guys watched the show called Lovecraft Country?
Yes, Lovecraft.
See, that story is like, I think I relate to it the most, because I feel like it's based on my whole family story, because we're from Chicago, and like we went to Atlanta, and like we just found out that we're related to white people and black people, and like we did our ancestry, so it traces back to so many places.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just goes to show how magical we are to be black. It is magical to be black. If you're from Africa, you're magical. You are the spitting version of God.
Literally. Black trans femmes in the arts is a great, it's like an artist collective for trans women and also non-binary black femmes. They offer a lot of like collaborative resources, and if you're an artist, like it's just a great place to find community.
I just want to let you guys know how special you guys are. All you guys are amazingly beautiful, black and gay and queer. And I love that about every single one of you guys. I'm so glad that we've had a conversation like this, because I wanted to have a conversation like this for the longest. And now that we've gotten out right before the lunar eclipse, that means that we're going to be escalated to a whole nother level, to our second coming into who we are. So we are planting so many seeds right now that we're going to just get back in the next few months.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, like, you know, the biggest takeaway for me is definitely kind of like we were all kind of saying, like, with choosing family and also knowing like you're allowed to take up the space that you're in, and like however you feel, whoever you are, you're allowed to be that in that space, and knowing that, you know, of course we all have that history of code switching because of comfortability, but knowing as you get more confident in yourself and going to that if the problem is not you, it's the person. You doing what you doing, if they're bothered because you living your life how you want to live, you living your truth, and they bothered for that, you just gotta keep them bothered. You're supposed to be in that space. You're supposed to act like that in that space. You doing a good job. Be yourself. Forget about those people. Let them figure out who they want to be, but don't let them deter you from being yourself. And a resource, I gave the same resource in Black is King one. So I apologize. But I really do like this documentary. It's called Black Is, Black Ain't. It's by Marlon Riggs. Marlon Riggs is also a black queer man. And during the documentary, they was talking about the, you know, mixing masculine and femininity, and he was also going through HIV. So we also saw that side of him going through HIV, and I think it was in one of my readings. It's like a textbook, so I'm not gonna give you all a textbook to read. But in the article in that textbook, they cited that documentary, so I wanted to watch that documentary. And so watching that, it, you know, gave a lot of clarity in how I was feeling, and knowing that, Black is not monolithic, and kind of also explaining like homophobia also in the Black community. And so I thought it was a very good documentary, Black Is, Black Ain't, by Marvin Winans.
I have a question. Do you guys think it's important as like gays or homosexual, like even in our community, that we come out? Like, do you think that's an important thing for us to do?
Period.
You say yeah?
Yes.
Why do you think so? Because heterosexual doesn't have to come out, so I was like, why do...
But I feel like for us, we haven't all come out. There's a lot of kids that are still young and still haven't come out. So I feel like we have a bunch of years for people to come out and be their true self, so we can all be great. Because it's not going to take just us being the ones that, oh, we're out, let's see what we can do. It's going to be a million of us that's going to have to come out. So it's just a duty of what you have to be in your truth, and you have to acknowledge that and accept that at a time. But it's not supposed to be rushed.
I agree. I would say, because I found that like watching coming out videos on YouTube was very helpful for me.
Yes.
to see that other people were going through the same thing I was going through, and they found that courage to be able to speak it and be proud of their identity. But I also feel like, kind of like what you're saying, Aries, is that like you don't have to force it. Like you come out when you're ready. But another thing that I've discovered is that like you're never like you're always coming out. Like you're always entering a space and being like, this is who I am.
True.
So I feel like even if it's something that you don't necessarily want to do, like you're gonna have to do it. But like you're saying, like it is helpful for younger people to see that they are not alone and that they can be proud of who they are.
I actually, I haven't thought about that perspective of younger people, and like seeing that example, because that makes a lot of sense. Because for me, I didn't really come out. I came out to my parents because it was a household and they wanted to sit down and have a conversation with me, and they asked. But after I came out to my parents, I just was like, okay, well, that's it. They're the ones who live in the household. I'm going to move how I'm going to move, and you are just going to find out. I'm not going to make a speech. I'm not going to announce to the whole family that I'm not like ashamed of it. It's just that I just didn't feel the need to make a speech and bring it together and say like, okay, y'all, I'm gay. It was just like, okay, well, my household knows, and so I'm now going to move accordingly. And if you ask, I'm just going to say yes, because that's what it is. Right. I'm not going to go to you and tell you, because it doesn't matter. And so that's what I would say, because I also felt the, same way too, that you were saying, as far as, no one really comes out as straight, so I don't really have to come out as gay. And that's kind of how I felt, and that's why I didn't come out as gay. But I do like the aspect of, sharing your story with the community.
Yeah.
Because sharing your story with the community can also give people, make them feel comfortable, because in a sense, it shouldn't have to be this concept of coming out, but because heterosexuality is the dominant sexuality of society, you have to come out and express that, and images that are being shown that make people feel uncomfortable. So, having people in the community kind of sharing your story and how you came out can also help people. So I see both sides of that now, like I was saying. Thank you all for that.
I agree. I feel like you should come out, but I don't feel like, I feel like you should come out when you're ready. Don't feel like you have to be forced to come out, or someone should force you to come out, or someone should out you, because I don't know the business on Front Street, but definitely do it when you are ready. And I don't know, I feel like now it's just the thing, like if you know,
right.
If you can't figure it out, I don't know. Because I'm not about to keep like. I feel like I only came out to my family and then my close friends, and then after that, it was just like if you knew, that was it. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Once I came out to my parents, I was just like, I don't give a fuck who knows.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, I was just like, okay. But I feel like you should come out if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I don't think you should have to owe anybody that.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like your family, just so they like not surprised or like caught off guard. I feel like you should come out to your family. Maybe not.
That's still owing them though. That's like.
It's to me, it's not. I feel like it's more like for you to be comfortable and so they can be comfortable.
Yeah, but one thing I will say is that like, as much as you can plan coming out, it's like for me, it just didn't happen the way that I thought it was gonna happen. Like I was not prepared for that moment, but I had to confront it right then and there. I'm glad that it happened when it did, but like at the same time, I was planning. I was gonna write a letter when I went away to college and all of this, but it was just like no, it was like right now. So don't get attached to this idea of how you want to come out. Some people are able to do it and it's beautiful, but like it's not gonna always work out how you expect it to. So yeah.
That was my question.
At the close of the show, I just want to thank you all again for coming on to speak and taking time out to be a part of this. Yeah, I love each and every one of y'all. Like, oh my God, like, y'all just don't know. Like, I appreciate each and every one of you just for taking your time out. Aaron and Isaac, I appreciate y'all. Like y'all spent time on the show. Y'all didn't have to come back, but y'all did.
Oh, so, thank you for having me back.
You know,
dealing with my bullshit.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
This is gonna be a reoccurring thing, so I just hope y'all know that. So
I'm down.
Yeah, and Telan, you my kid. Like we here, okay. But oh my God, I'm just so thankful for y'all. Like, oh my God, we just thankful that I was able to put this together and finally, like, I literally, oh my God, I've been working so much and I just realized I was trying to set the time out to really do this. So yeah, it finally happened. So yeah, I'm just happy that y'all were able to be a part of this episode. And like I said, it Aries too, like Aries that he was able to come with his voice as well.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
What you say?
Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course. Any closing remarks? Yeah, thank you all again for just being a part of this. Give yourself a round of applause for getting through this.
Also to you.
This episode. Thank you all.
Y'all can follow me at what is my Instagram? At Isaac is Love. I think that's my Instagram. If it's not my Instagram, that's my Twitter. I usually on Twitter I go post on Instagram sometimes. But Isaac is Love. That should be the social media with an underscore. Isaac is Love.
I guess you can follow me on Instagram at Aaron_Jermaine_. So it's AARON_Jermaine_. It may take me a while to accept your follow, but I will.
Exactly.
My handles for Instagram is X_NALET_. Same for Twitter. Yeah. X_NALET_.
Well, I'm only on Instagram, so my Instagram is Aries.Tyler, Tyler. Well, yeah, it's my name, just with a period.
Perfect. Like I said, I just want to thank you all again for being a part of tonight's show. Until next time, we will reconvene and chat again. Like I said to everyone, have a good night, all of you beautiful panelists. And yeah, we are done with tonight's show. So everyone, until next time, I will see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.